We're live. Yay. Hi, Tim. What a wonderful evening. How lovely to see you. I want to say hello and welcome Tim Wagner. And hello to everyone else here watching, whether you're watching it live or whether you come and watch the replay later. And I would like to introduce my wonderful guest, Tim Wagner, who works with business people and is a transformational breathwork guide. That is a transformational breathwork guide. Sorry, I muddled my words a little. And a mentor and a facilitator and a presenter And so, Tim, it's wonderful to have you here. It's wonderful to be here on the 10th of October, which is Global Mental Health Day. And it is lovely to be able to perhaps give to the people we're talking with, who are coming to watch this, to give some of our views around how we can be helpful towards anxiety, people who suffer from anxiety. Yeah. So, Tim, welcome.
Thank you so much, Karen. And absolutely blessed to be here. What a synergistic day it is that we decided to launch this on the 10th of October, World Mental Health Day. Now, it's very rare that I actually agree with the World Health Organization on things, but this time I actually might do. So it's great fun and wonderful to see the guys coming in here. Thank you very much. Seeing Bruce and Shaw, Vern, Chan, and various other people. Wonderful. So yes, thanks for the introduction. And if you had actually said to me a year ago that I'd be sharing a podcast with you on talk about mental health, I would have that doesn't connect with me. See, I'm a corporate guy. Well, I was a corporate guy. I was that high-strung, high-stressed out corporate guy, chasing the corporate ladder, chasing the money, high-pay position, absolutely stressed out for many, many years, but had no idea that I was completely stressed out, that I was on the verge of what I now know is called burnout. And it just became a way of life for me, but I was suffering. My relationships with my son didn't exist. My relationship with my wife was on the way out. My health was tanking very, very fast. Not able to think clearly. I don't know if you've ever had this, Karen, where you have a constant brain fog due to stress, due to anxiety, due to overwhelm, and just the constant work pressure. You don't sleep properly, you can't think properly, you can't communicate effectively, and not realizing there was a way out. My career went boom when I approached the MD of the company that I was running and told him my issues, and which didn't go down well at all and resulted in me walking out of that job, because either I was going to die, I was going to kill someone, or I was going to get divorced. And I wasn't happy with either three of those. So that was it. I quit and that was out. But now, down the line, I've learned so much that there is something we can do. There's so much possible. So, yes, as you said, I've actually been a presenter and coach and mentor and speaker, professional speaker for many years. And when I was working out how I could be more impactful and more effective to my clients, I thought there's a block. What stops people from truly moving forward and being the best versions of themselves, from learning new information, from personal development and upskilling themselves? And a year ago, it was over a year ago, it hit me: stress, anxiety, overload, overwhelm. If you have a look, I think since 2020, since COVID, it's got even worse. It was a pandemic before, it's an epidemic now. It really is. This overwhelm and overburden in the corporate world is huge. And that's why I've taken it on as a big part of my program to share to corporates, to people, to entrepreneurs, that there are some things that you can do to help reduce that impact on your daily basis. And that's what we're here sharing about today. So amazing.
Thank you, Tim. And I love you sharing your story around, where you were and where you are now, because I think many people may find themselves in the situation that you were in, or are heading towards it and don't know what to do. And to hear from someone like yourself who has come through that can be really, really helpful and encouraging. So I agree with you. Often we don't realize, as for you, we don't realize at the time when we're in it. And, things can happen physically, especially, that cause us to think, well, what's wrong? Why do I feel like this? Why have I constantly got a headache or I can't think clearly, like you said? And we're not really taught to look at the things that are going on inside our head. And, when I did my my master practitioner in hypnotherapy and NLP and timeline therapy, we talked about how anxiety is actually fear of the future. And so when you think about it like that and you think, okay, well, if people are constantly fearful of the future, of what might happen or what might not happen, or whether they're good enough to do something, and all of these human limitations come up for us when we're thinking about things every single day. And it's like, if you think about our mind as the operating system, and our unconscious mind as an operating system like a computer, and we're running programs. We're running programs just like a computer. And the programs are what goes on in our head. And often, because of our programming, we're running programs that we default to, which is unfortunately thoughts that are negative, thoughts that give us doubt, thoughts of imposter syndrome, thoughts of, oh, she's better than me, or he's better than me, and so therefore I'm not going to be promoted, or, I have to work 10 times harder to prove myself. And all of these things add extra pressure in the corporate world, or,
Yes.
in the non-corporate world, which is where I worked with people.
And you know what's so interesting is, for people to understand that when they are in this anxiety state, they're not alone. The World Health Organization in 2019 said over 301 million people worldwide, this is 2019, before COVID, 301 million people worldwide suffer on a daily basis with anxiety. So you're not alone, where you think that in that state, you're sort of unique. How do other people cope? Well, here's the thing. They're not. That's why I term it as, and it's not my terminology, it is a pandemic on its own, especially when you're looking in that corporate world, that state of overload and burnout, which at this time of year, as people are winding up in the last 2-3 months of the year, the pressure is so much more intense. How many people in the last few weeks, maybe some listeners will relate to this, have suddenly gotten sick? Around the world, the weather's changing. In South Africa, it's getting warmer. In the Northern Hemisphere, it's getting colder. So the susceptibility to be ill just goes up because your body is not managing itself. Not only mentally, but physically. It's just not able to cope. And so you're susceptible for these bugs and viruses, whatever they are, floating around. And so you get ill, which adds more pressure onto the workplace, because now the sickness goes up. The amount of people that end up being hospitalized who are on overwhelm and burnout shoots up. The statistics show that 25% of people who are on the verge of burnout end up in hospital. So
Sorry. And those are the ones that show it. But like you say, Tim, most of us don't show it. We have all this going on and we cover it up, because we think we're the only ones that can't operate, that can't perform, that are having these problems, and so we cover it up. And so therefore that causes all of us to feel insecure when we're having these kinds of physical reactions. And, there are real physical reactions. That's the thing. Our mind, our unconscious mind causes us to have real physical reactions. So, for example, if you think about going to stand up in front of 1,000 people and do a talk, and you hate talking in front of people, you will know that we all experience a physical reaction. Some people want to go to the bathroom, for example. Some people get headaches and tightness in their neck. Some people feel sick in their tummy. And it's not a real physical illness. It's our mind that's causing, or our unconscious mind that's causing that physical reaction. And so it causes things like not being able to sleep, not being able to get to sleep, not being able to make decisions. Like you said, you had brain fog. Perfectionism, wanting to do everything perfectly. It's never good enough, just keep working on it. I'll just do a bit more and a bit more. OCD, counting to yourself. Do you count to yourself when you're doing stuff? Sensitivity to social stimulus, excessive internal dialogue going on so that you can't concentrate. It gets so loud. Yep. Anxiety about social interactions in big groups, being afraid to go into big groups because you don't like it. Sensitivity to background noise, to music, or something like a hairdryer. Anxiety and overwhelm is something that manifests in physical, makes us feel physically unwell, stuck in the past. A skewed view on life for more serious conditions of anxiety and even depression. A skewed view on life, blaming others outside situations and circumstances and not taking responsibility for what happens in our lives. Always having an excuse as to why it's not our fault, and overreacting to people and situations and being very accusatory, thinking that it's always everyone else is always, causing me to have problems. And it can even be a sense of superiority. So what do you have to say about all of that, Tim?
That's just, you sit here and go, whoo, okay, I'm busy ticking off, not now, but then. And if I only knew back then when I was in corporate what I now know, how could life be different for me? But I just cast my mind back to 5.5 years ago in corporate. I'm just ticking those boxes, man. Just ticking those boxes. But at the time, being unaware of that actual state I was in. And just I don't know if you've read the Gallup recently put out their global workplace report for 2023 on the state of the condition of people in workplace. It's a phenomenal report that they've done. Gallup has got one of the most credible independent reports. And what they actually said in there is that while employee engagement is on the rise, the connections and the communication on the rise, they further said that stress in the workplace continues to grow, that over 44% of people experience stress on a daily basis. And every year, this is rising. They're saying that right now, their statistics have shown in the past year that, I'm reading this quickly, employees at work are 59% of them are what they call quiet quitters. These people are the ones high stress, high anxiety, overwhelmed, overworked, and are quietly quitting. 59%. Only 29%, according to their reports, and this is looking globally, worldwide, are thriving. Sorry, 23% are thriving. That's 77% of employees are in some way dissatisfied, stressed out, not connecting. How much is that costing a business?
Yes, you may wonder the productivity level of that many employees. Exactly.
Wow. There's another report that I read, last statistic for you, is I find these statistics fantastic when you go to corporates, that the research in the last 3 or 4 years has shown that for every $1 spent on employee mindfulness, on a more holistic approach to your employees and the coaching and the training and giving them mindfulness practice, be it meditation, be it breathing exercises, which is what I focus on. Whatever of these that you add in, every $1 spent gives you a return of $4.
Yeah.
Because you're reducing all of these things that you're talking about. Now, that should scare every corporate into action.
Yes. And all of those stats can probably be transferred to the non-corporate world in a way as well. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge the people who are making comments. We have James Dooney has said, "Hi there, Tim Wagner." You must know him, Tim. James Dooney, and
I know a couple of Jameses. Hello, James.
And
Wonderful.
Johnny, I know Johnny. It's wonderful. Johnny is also a South African, but she lives in the Netherlands now. And we've got, of course, Usman Kamara and Mark Inkster and Xiao and Muhammad. Lots of people have come in now, and Bruce. So thank you so much for coming in and putting in your comments as well. Most people have just said hi at the moment. Thanks. And we will, I'm sure if you've got questions and things, you can add it. But Shani has said this is staggering statistics, Tim.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. Yeah,
it is. So when I want to, we could talk about the issues, and a lot of people here who are listening understand that's why they're listening and they're looking for something. So when I was looking at a way that I could be more impactful to my client base, and I came across breathwork for the first time. And it was literally only August of last year. It's that new to me, but I've become so passionate about it. It's just, I've absorbed it completely. I figured I've been pretty good at breathing. I was alive for 51 years at that point. I've got to be okay to realize that there's way more to it than that. So when I started to get into the research, and I believe you're going to share one amazing tool that we can apply in our daily lives. I can't wait for that. I'm going to hand the mic back over to you in a moment. So what I wanted to do was, yes, learn what I call breath hacks. Those are those 60-second, 90-second things you can do in that moment to calm yourself, to lift yourself, to get more resonance, mind, body, spirit. But I wanted to be able to dig deeper, to go in and find out how can I help people to virtually eliminate or reduce or get rid of those triggers that are causing the reaction in that stress state in that moment. Because is it the stress that causes us, or that situation that causes us to be stressful? Or is it how we react to that situation that causes the anxiety and stress? And that's where, as you called me at the beginning, transformational breath work. So these are deep journeys that I do, which is a combination of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, music, and then the deep holotropic breathing, which is a deep belly, deep chest breathing state to get you right down into theta brainwave states, to release that anxiety, release those stresses and traumas, which we carry right from when we're first born. And even goes back further than that. Science has shown that we carry 11 generations of trauma in our DNA.
Yes.
Crikey, that's scary. So how can we then focus when we store everything through energy? Maybe a discussion for another time.
Absolutely. I love that, Tim. Yes.
So that's where the deep, you can call it very meditative state, because it is. If you've got a meditation practice or a breathing practice, you'll love one of these. So I focus aggressively there, not aggressively, wrong word, but I focus primarily there in order to then allow the person to release that, to be able to then handle the day-to-day pressures and issues and anxieties and traumas that we deal with as a matter of course in our daily lives. Over to you. What are you sharing with us? I'm really looking forward to this. You started to tell me.
Yes. So, Tim, first of all, I want to applaud you for using the word focus as well, because it's really important to understand that we are focusing on those things. Like you said, what is it that causes it? Is it the actual situation, or is it our reaction to it? And of course, we know it is our reaction to it. And so one of the things we want to learn is how to respond in a calm and what's the word? In a way that is controlled rather than react. And focusing on focus is a great word, because it's like, okay, well, can we change our focus so that we've got something that will calm us and stop us from reacting all the time? And it's like building a muscle. It's like we react naturally. Okay, so it's about learning to take a breath, take a step, take a pause, and go, well, could I respond to this in a different way? So that's one thing I wanted to just speak to because of what you said.
Hmm.
So one of the we want to give you some helpful techniques, people who are watching, to deal with stress, anxiety, nervousness, all of those things that cause us to then have those thoughts going on in our head that cause a physical response that we don't want to have. And one of the ways, which is really simple and easy to use, and it's a tool that you can have with you at any time. And let's say I talked about the example if you're going to do a talk in front of 20 or 50 or 100 or 1,000 people, and you don't like public speaking. Most of us have a fear of public speaking, and that's the other thing I want to talk about is fear. Anyway, most of us have a fear of public speaking, and most of us, even if we don't think we have a fear, we will get nervous before we go to speak. And that's okay, because actually nerves can aid us. They can give us the adrenaline that helps us to get through. However, I have a technique. Let's say you're going to an interview for a job and you're nervous about that. You're nervous about how you're going to behave, how you're going to deal with it, how you're going to come across, and all of those things. So this technique can be used in those kind of situations. It can also be used in a situation where you want to go into a class or a seminar or a conference that's going to give a lot of information to you, and you want to absorb it. You want to be absolutely your most focused and absorbent to get everything that you can out of it. And what this technique does, it's like it literally opens a trapdoor in your brain and allows the information to be absorbed in without you even being aware of it. And you will know afterwards that how much you did actually absorb without doing it on purpose. And it's called the foveal state. And it takes literally a minute. So let's say you're going into an interview and you get there, you give yourself enough time to go to the bathroom before you go in, which is really important. And you go to the bathroom and you can do it there. You can sit on the loo if you want to, or you can stand and do it. And what you do, and you can do this with me now, is that you look straight ahead and you look above. You look above and you look for something above you on the wall that you can focus your eyes on. So it could be a window catch, or it could be, something that you can focus on. And you look at it and you really focus on it with both eyes. And then what you do is you look in your peripheral vision to the right, and you notice what you can see in your peripheral vision. What can you see? Can you see a chair? Can you see a window? What can you see? And you look as far around as you can. What can I see? Can I see further? And actually, the more you practice this, the further you can use your peripheral vision to see more. Some people can see almost behind themselves. And then you never move your eyes off that point that you focused on. And then you do the same to the left. So you look at what you can see in your left peripheral vision. How far around can you see? What can you notice? Look at the detail. And then you lock it in. You mentally clap or make a noise or lock it in. That's it. That is it. That is called the foveal state. And the more you practice it, the more you will be able to see. You never, ever move your eyes. You only look at what you can see with your peripheral vision. And you do it for 30 seconds, a minute. And it literally focuses you. You will not feel nervous. You cannot feel emotion when you're in this state. And it will get rid of your tension, your nerves, your emotions. And ideally, you will go into that meeting or go to do that talk, and you'll feel calm and in control and present. And you'll also be able to get what it is that you want to say, that you've already practiced, you've already learned it. It'll come to you and it'll flow.
Oh, amazing.
That's called the foveal state.
I'm going to try that. I'm doing a short talk this evening. I'm going to try that. just before I actually
beforehand.
do it.
Yeah,
Well, I
it
love
literally,
public speaking, but
yeah.
just to see how further it can actually take me. I love that. Thank you very much. Brilliant.
What have
Practice.
you
That's
got
what a
to
lot of
share?
this requires.
Mm?
Practice. That's what a lot of this requires, is where you've got something,
Mm-hmm.
is to actually adopt it as a new habit into your daily routines and bring it into life. Only then do you start really
Absolutely.
seeing the true impact or the true benefit. Too often we chop and jump, we chase in different things all the times without actually giving it an opportunity to really benefit. Like you said, the more you practice, peripheral vision,
Yes.
the more impactful it actually gets. But it does require the practice and the concerted effort to put it in. Stunning.
And you can do it with children. So you can do a smiley face and put it on the wall for them. And you can teach them to do it so that when they go into class, they can choose something there and focus and learn better. It's really good for learning. It's really good for assimilating information as well, as I said. So, yeah. What have you got for our listeners, Tim?
Well, I'm not going to beat that one with a breath hack. But what I'll do is, once this has gone live and posted, I'll share a breath hack. One of my favorites is the box breathing technique. It's probably one of the most well-known ones. Firemen use it. People in the armed forces use it who need to focus for a consistent period of time. And I find the box breathing is a brilliant way just to get more connection, resonance between mind, body, and spirit, and just to calm down. And it's a beautiful one to use. So I'll post that for everybody on the actual recording that's gone, so that then you can take that and start doing it on a consistent basis. But box breathing is one of my favorite and one of the most popular, and for a reason. Because it works, and literally in 60 to 90 seconds, you can just calm your entire state and also help with just maintaining that focus and attention in that moment of time. And these things are critical in order to help us just manage these day-to-day stresses and anxieties as and when they're happening, or just as they're happening, as Karen, as you said, just before you go into that interview, before that presentation, you do these things. So it's good to practice them before you actually need it. Because in that moment, when you're really anxious, you're going to think, what should I do?
Yes.
Your brain's not going to go to the solution.
Yes.
It needs to be already that habit, that writing of that new habit. Yeah.
So true, Tim. So I hope that's been helpful for everyone. We're going to wind it up in a minute. Has anyone got any questions that you'd like to ask before we go? You can pop them in the chat. Otherwise, you can reach out to Tim Wagner on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn under Karen Clark. Feel free to reach out to us, ask us any questions. If you want to have a one-to-one with either of us, I'm sure, Tim, you'll be happy to. So just reach out and ask for anything that you want we can help you with. Ask any questions, or if you'd like to have a further chat, then please do that.
No, definitely. And on Saturday at, I can't remember the time now, I'll post it on the chats as well. I'm actually doing a free introduction to a transformational breathwork journey, which I'd love to invite everybody to come and experience. It's one of the things that I've learned in a lot of the holistic healing modalities and practices is that there's a big misunderstanding of what we actually do, just purely based upon preconceived ideas, and breathing is about is only for those who do yoga, or some guy sitting on top of a mountain and breathing once every hour. No. There's a lot more to it. So I love to invite people to experience it. And once you have experience, then you have understanding. Then we can start to see how can either Karen or myself be more beneficial to you on a longer term process. And that's why I love calling myself a guide. I run journeys and I guide you because it's all inside of you already. I'm going to just help you get it out, create the environment or the platform for you to learn how do you take this out. And from there, you can start to function at a far more optimal basis. So that's on Saturday in South Africa. It's 4 p.m., which I think is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I'll put all the details on
Great. Put that on the LinkedIn too, Tim. Put it on the LinkedIn post for this so
I'll
that
do that.
people who watch this will see it. And I also have on Wednesday, I have a 11:30. I think we're doing it around 11:30. I have a talk with Anna, which is about success. So success and what it means. So that's another live like this with Tim, and we basically we call it meaningful conversation. So if you want to come into that as well, we'd love to have you there. So that's around lunch, around 11:30 on Wednesday, Brisbane time. That is. So I don't know what time it is for you, Johnny. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you everybody for coming and putting your comments in. And we would love to see you again in 2 weeks' time. Same time, Tim. 2 weeks from now, Tuesday evening, 7:15 Brisbane time. We will see you then on more of this topic and perhaps something we will add to it. Much more.
That's it. This are the Awakened Dialogues with Tim and Karen. So if you've got something else that you would like us around mindfulness, mental health, health issues that you would like us to have a chat about and discuss, noting that I'm not a healthcare professional in any way. I have studied breathwork modalities and I continue to do it, but I'm by no means that qualified, or I don't have that doctorate, let's put it that way. It's a passion of mine. I've seen the impact and the power that being a conscious, connected breather can have on you. I've run a marathon breathing only through my nose because that was one of my big challenges I wanted to do, to see was it possible. And yes, so that's where I come from. Lots to share, and hope to see you in 2 weeks' time, every 2 weeks. Yeah. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Tim. And as you say, the Awakened Dialogues, if there's anything in particular you're interested in us discussing, please let us know. And thank you, Johnny, for saying you always watch Anna and I as well. So on that note, let's say it's a take and let's call it a day. Thank you so much, Tim, and I will end the live.
Wonderful.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.